It's never the harsh words directly hurled at you, is it? Oh no, dear friends. It's the subtle stings, the quiet whispers that suddenly fall silent the moment you walk into a room. It's the strained, polite smiles that don't quite reach the eyes, leaving you with that unsettling feeling in your gut. The stark realization that you've been subtly, silently edged out from the weekly gathering, the community group, or even cherished long-standing friendships. If you've ever experienced that profound, chilling sting of unexpected social exclusion, or found yourself bewildered, wondering why once familiar faces now seem distant, then I promise you, you are not alone. And what I'm about to share might just explain those baffling moments, offering clarity you desperately need to protect your peace and well-being. Because here's a truth rarely spoken aloud, especially for those of us in our wisdom years. Sometimes, the cruelest forms of disrespect, the most insidious bullying, doesn't come from strangers or loud confrontations. It hides initially disguised as kindness, camaraderie, or just simple awkwardness. But then, almost imperceptibly, it can turn profoundly vicious, eroding your sense of belonging and even your self-worth. If you've ever found yourself targeted by a quiet smear campaign within a group of what you thought were your peers, perhaps by other women, if you're a lady watching this, you've likely noticed, just as I did, that these situations possess a bizarre, almost illogical quality. It's perplexing, isn't it? You may never truly understand why a group has quietly, decisively turned against you, yet their actions can inflict very real, very deep emotional damage. In this vital discussion, I want to unpack precisely what this subtle, often invisible form of relational aggression looks like, how it subtly unfolds, the true emotional toll it takes, and most importantly, what powerful steps you can take to safeguard yourself. I'm going to start by sharing a very personal and painful story of what happened to me, a story that shaped much of what I now understand about resilience and protecting your inner peace. It all began years ago when my first child was on the way. My partner and I found a lovely house at the quiet edge of town, nestled on a long cul-de-sac that stretched almost half a mile towards wildlands and forests. It felt like a fresh start, a peaceful haven. As fate would have it, amongst the 20 or 30 households on that cul-de-sac, an astonishing 5 of us were expecting our first babies within the same few months. This happy coincidence led to an invitation for me to join a new moms group, and I was absolutely thrilled. Being a bit isolated out there, I eagerly hoped this would be my chance to make lasting new friendships, especially those precious mom friends everyone talks about. It felt like the natural thing to do at that stage of life. Initially, everything seemed to be going well. My partner and I eventually got married and welcomed our second child, and I genuinely tried to remain an active part of this new neighborhood community. However, a noticeable awkwardness began to emerge. This particular group of moms and their partners truly loved to drink. And I mean, some of them drank quite a lot. Any evening gathering would often see most attendees becoming quite, shall we say, merry, to the point of being completely intoxicated. Now, my son's father was, and still is, a long-time sober alcoholic. Out of deep respect for his journey and frankly, because I was a busy mom of very young children, I simply didn't drink either. If you're a non-drinker, you understand how isolating it can feel at a party where the entire social wavelength is dominated by drinking, and people are getting progressively louder and less inhibited. It creates a subtle but distinct barrier. Beyond the drinking, I sensed a deeper cultural difference as well. Many of the women were what you might call hippie types, often wearing their babies in slings, a lovely practice. But I wasn't really in a position to embrace that lifestyle fully. We relied heavily on my income to pay the rent and keep our little family afloat. So sadly, I couldn't stay home as much as I would have loved to, and that, I believe, set me apart in ways I didn't fully grasp at the time. I couldn't have known it then, but these seemingly minor differences were sowing the seeds for what would become a truly devastating period in my life. It was here, amongst these new connections, that things began to shift, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first before turning truly dark. I still don't fully understand the precise moment or exact reason why these mom friends eventually turned against me, but something undeniably shifted in our dynamics. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly, tiny, unsettling details. There were peculiar glances exchanged between people when I was part of the group, a subtle chill that began to creep into our interactions. Then I noticed an email thread about a gathering or an activity that I simply wasn't included on. When I gently mentioned it, they offered a fleeting apology, only to do it again, excluding me from the next communication loop. There was even a crude joke made at my expense. I can't recall the exact words, but I remember feeling a sharp sting. Yet, I felt utterly paralyzed, unable to confront it for fear of being labeled too sensitive. So, I did what many of us do. I laughed it off, pretending it was funny, hoping it would simply disappear if I didn't acknowledge the hurt. The situation escalated to a neighborhood potluck, a large gathering with almost everyone from the cul-de-sac. Here, the ostracization was undeniable and public. No one, absolutely no one, would speak to me. I tried to initiate conversations, to understand what was happening, asking a couple of people directly, "Is everything all right? What's going on?" Each time, my questions were met with blank stares or uncomfortable silences, and people simply moved away. The atmosphere was so profoundly unwelcoming that I couldn't bear to stay. I simply left. But the most agonizing incident, the one that truly sealed my sense of utter abandonment, happened on Halloween. My little son, beaming in his superhero costume, and I were eagerly waiting. The plan, as it had been, was for everyone at our end of the block to gather at our house so we could all go trick-or-treating together before it got dark. We waited and waited. The sun began to set, painting the sky with deepening hues, and then, completely, it got dark. No one came. Nobody. Not a single trick-or-treater graced our door because, of course, the kids we were meant to be joining were precisely the ones within walking distance. Our lovingly carved pumpkin sat there, candle flickering forlornly, unseen by anyone but us. Our bowl of candy remained untouched, a symbol of our isolation. A cold, sick feeling spread through me, twisting in my stomach. I tried calling some of the other moms, but no one answered. Determined not to let my little boy down completely, I finally took him out onto the dark, quiet road, hoping to find at least a few doors to knock on. As we rounded a distant curve, there they all were. The moms, the dads, and the children. Everyone, except us. They were well into a party at one of the houses, their trick-or-treating already done. My heart sank. When I asked what had happened, they offered a flimsy excuse. "Oh, we must have forgotten to tell you about the change of plan." But the brutal truth was painfully obvious. To avoid our end of the street, to deliberately exclude us, they had to go out of their way. It took effort. This was no accident. And of course, my little son, full of youthful exuberance, immediately wanted to stay and play with the other children at the party. What could I do? I felt trapped, unable to drag him away without causing a scene and hurting him further. So I sat there, trying to blend in, enduring an excruciating decent interval of time, with no one talking to me, pretending this utterly dehumanizing situation wasn't happening. I yearned to escape, and when we finally could, I nearly ran out of there. This didn't just hurt me, it left me utterly adrift, with no idea how to navigate such cruel behavior. Later that night, after my son was finally tucked into bed, still buzzing with a mixture of Halloween disappointment and fleeting party joy, I turned to my daily practice. This isn't just a phrase, it's a profound method I've honed and relied upon for over 30 years to re-regulate my nervous system, achieve mental clarity, and connect deeply with my intuition and inner wisdom. It's a simple set of techniques, incredibly easy to learn, and something I've taught countless people, completely free of charge. If you're feeling overwhelmed, confused, or deeply hurt by life's challenges, I truly believe this practice can offer you the clarity and calm you need. You can always find a link to learn it in the description below. It's the second link there. That night, through this practice, my mind cleared and I knew exactly what I needed to do. The very next day, armed with a newfound resolve, I walked to the door of the mom whose child was my son's closest friend. Their kids went to the same preschool and we used to carpool together, sharing the daily task of getting them there. I was brimming with a mix of anger and profound hurt. I looked her in the eye and demanded to know why last night's terrible exclusion had happened. What I discovered next was a shock. She was the instigator, the architect of this entire smear campaign. And then, the reason behind it all began to unfold. The whole bizarre narrative, she explained, had begun about a month prior. At that time, I had to regretfully inform her husband that I could no longer carpool their son because my car, with the new baby now, only safely held 2 car seats in the back. I simply didn't have room for a third child. However, on one particular day, her husband had approached me, pleading, "This is a total emergency. I desperately need to get him to school and our car is broken down. Could you please just help me out today?" Faced with his genuine distress, I agreed, but explained, "Yes, but I would have to put your son in the front seat." At that time, it was legal, though certainly not advised, to place a 3 or 4-year-old in the front passenger seat, provided the seat was pushed as far back as it could go. I drove carefully. The school was only about a mile away on a quiet road, and I dropped the children off without incident. It seemed like a straightforward act of neighborly help. Gradually after that day, the strange looks and exclusions began, slowly revealing an insidious smear campaign. Evidently, this mom had heard about the carpool incident. What her husband had told her, I'll never truly know, but it couldn't have been the full, nuanced truth of the situation where he had earnestly pleaded for my help and I had reluctantly agreed. In her mind, I had committed a terrible, unforgivable act. I had, in her twisted perception, endangered her child and should have known better. She was absolutely enraged. From that warped viewpoint, she had gone on to tell everyone in the neighborhood that I was a dangerous, untrustworthy person who should be kept away from children. This was not merely an accusation. It was a devastating, serious allegation, utterly and completely false. I tried to explain my side, clarifying exactly what had happened, that I hadn't volunteered, but her husband had earnestly asked for my help in an emergency, and I had agreed reluctantly, and that the short drive on a quiet road was perfectly legal at the time. Her response was chillingly unyielding. "I don't care," she spat, shaking with what seemed like a mixture of fury and perhaps something deeper. "You nearly killed my child." She declared she couldn't even look at me again, that what I had done was simply too terrible. Her reaction made absolutely no sense given the facts. It felt like a disproportionate, almost irrational outburst. I now suspect this was more about some unresolved issue between her and her husband, into which I had inadvertently stepped. Whatever the underlying cause, her decision was absolute. She meticulously recruited every single mom on the block, and even other neighbors, to actively shun me, to avoid speaking to me, and to exclude my family from any and all neighborhood activities forever. Our once welcoming street became a cold, silent prison. Adding to the immense pressure of this social banishment, my personal life began to unravel. Around that difficult time, my marriage tragically fell apart. My children's father moved out, and I suddenly found myself navigating life as a single mom, managing all these challenges entirely on my own. I've since learned that the vulnerability of being a single woman, especially a new single mom, can unfortunately sometimes trigger certain people to turn against you, seeing it perhaps as a weakness or a perceived deviation from group norms. Life, it seemed, was determined to throw even more trials my way. Shortly after, I needed a significant surgery, but something went terribly wrong. This unfortunate medical turn led to 4 harrowing years of relentless complications, 14 major surgeries, 44 urgent trips to the emergency room, and constant cycles of illness and hospital stays. It was an unending nightmare of physical pain and emotional exhaustion. My children's father would step in to care for them when I was in the hospital, but often, especially during middle-of-the-night emergencies, that wasn't always possible, leaving me in truly dire, unsupported circumstances. And through all this personal anguish, through the darkest, most vulnerable years of my life, not one of those neighbors offered a shred of kindness or support, not a single one. It wasn't until years later, about 4 years into my medical ordeal, that one neighbor, perhaps with a moment of distant conscience, finally made a meal for me. I even tried to talk to them, tried to bridge the gap, to explain, but they remained stubbornly firm in their condemnation. No, you were a terrible person. You drove that child dangerously. It was a hopeless endeavor. The baseless accusations and the social cold shoulder continued for a painfully long time. Then, in 2008, the unimaginable happened. The housing market collapsed. My beloved house, the home where I hoped to raise my children, lost a staggering 75% of its value. For years, I had barely managed to make every single mortgage payment on time, pouring money into improvements, only to find myself in an impossible financial trap. I couldn't sell it because it was worth significantly less than I owed on it. I was underwater, trapped not only by the people on the street, but by the very walls of my home. In total, I endured a grueling 10 years on that awful street before my children, and I could finally escape those relentlessly cruel people and that toxic environment. Despite this decade of intense bullying and hardship, I want you to understand something incredibly important. Thanks to my unwavering commitment to my daily practice, I was not only able to survive this period, but actually transform it into a time of profound personal growth. So much of what I now teach, what I offer to others, I learned during those incredibly challenging years. How to re-regulate my nervous system under immense stress, how to cultivate healthier relationships, and crucially, how to finally break free from cycles of negative relationships with men. Amidst the chaos, I developed a powerful arsenal of actions I could take whenever I felt utterly defeated, depressed, or overwhelmed, specific steps that would invariably lift my spirit. This ability to nurture and protect your own well-being is, after all, paramount, isn't it? It was a decade of living under the shadow of this unfair, insidious female bullying campaign, but it became the forge where I hammered out so much inner work, discovering solutions to many of my most entrenched life problems. I didn't yet have the language to understand concepts like dysregulation or complex PTSD, which I later realized I suffered from. But I was diligently learning how to untangle the patterns of negative decisions I had been making, and critically, how to keep myself from falling into deeper problems. Furthermore, I meticulously generated a personal list of simple yet effective strategies, immediate, practical things I could do to feel happier in the moment, even when external circumstances were unbearable. If you're currently navigating difficult waters and need quick, reliable ways to boost your mood right away, I've compiled my essential tips into a resource that I'm offering completely free. You'll find it in the first link in the description below. These tips are invaluable, capable of helping you endure and overcome truly hard things. While I wouldn't wish the pain of such a bullying campaign on anyone, I know these techniques can be a lifeline. This free download is accessible just by providing your email, and it's a list I still rely on daily. In fact, I've even expanded it into a full course, which you might want to explore later. But for now, please take this free list. These are the simple yet powerful insights that will change your mood instantly. While I learned to cultivate happiness internally, the bullying, tragically, continued its relentless, insidious assault. The situation intensified when an older, single woman on the block, who held a very central and influential social position within the entire group, especially amongst the moms, threw her weight behind the "Anna is dangerous" narrative. Though she had always been somewhat cool towards me, I hadn't realized the depth of her involvement until a truly horrifying rumor made its way back to me. Someone disclosed that she was actively telling everyone in the neighborhood that I was killing cats. Not just one, mind you, but specifically that I had mercilessly killed 4 of them. This was an absolutely fabricated, utterly unhinged lie. I did have one beloved cat at the time, a gentle creature who eventually, sadly, died of old age. And if anything, I agonized that I hadn't put her to sleep earlier. You see, I had recently experienced a profound human loss and was honestly suffering from significant PTSD, making it incredibly difficult for me to cope with the idea of actively ending my cherished pet's life. In her last week or so, she cried out in pain, and perhaps the neighbors heard those cries. While I deeply regret her suffering, I absolutely did not kill her. The idea was monstrous, but the rumor, nevertheless, spread like wildfire. Anna kills cats, specifically 4. She was actively warning people that I was dangerous and they shouldn't let their pets near me. I tell you, this was the most insane, deeply unsettling smear campaign imaginable. Even to this day, it's utterly confusing. What were they thinking? Why single me out with such malicious falsehoods? After my cat passed away, I adopted a playful kitten, only for the rumors to twist again. She then began telling everyone that I was abusing the kitten. The absurdity of it was astounding, yet the result was chilling. Absolutely nobody would speak to me. The atmosphere became thick with silent judgment and open hostility. To make matters worse, there was another man, also an alcoholic and father of teenagers, who lived a couple of doors down. I eventually realized he was regularly urinating into the backseat of my car, ruining it. This was a rural area where people never locked their doors, a place that once felt safe. But now, amidst this campaign, I had to start locking my car because of this man. It felt as if people had truly gone mad, a modern-day witch hunt where logic and kindness had utterly vanished. Although it was incredibly challenging, I found a vital, necessary strength in confronting some of these people, asserting, "You are wrong about me." While this didn't change their behavior or stop the campaign, it felt profoundly good for my spirit, a necessary act of self-preservation to assert my truth in the face of such overwhelming falsehoods. Yet, in terms of concrete action, there was literally nothing more I could do to reason with them or make them see sense. So, my only path forward was to patiently wait for the housing market to recover sufficiently so I could finally sell my house. The 2008 financial crisis had hit us hard, and despite having made every single payment on time for 11 years and pouring significant money into improving the property, the house was profoundly underwater. Its value had plummeted by 75%, meaning I owed far more on it than it was worth. Selling it would have meant facing an astronomical debt. So even though I had no difficulty making my monthly payments, the thought of remaining in that toxic environment was unbearable. I made the painful decision to pursue what's known as a short sale, effectively handing the property back to the bank. It meant walking away from years of investment, literally showing nothing to show for it after all that effort and hardship. And honestly, looking back, if I had the chance to do it over again, I might have simply rented it out, because eventually the market did bounce back, and then it soared to astonishing heights. In a moment of masochistic curiosity, I recently checked what that house would be worth now, and what my equity in it would have been. You know what? It represented $1 million that I no longer possess. A profound financial loss, to be sure. But a part of me, a deep, unwavering part, feels that getting out of there at any cost was absolutely essential for my sanity and well-being. I had endured enough of that crazy, sick environment, the relentless drunkenness, the gossip, what I suspect were drugs, and the utterly unfair treatment. And through it all, I never truly understood why they did it. It's a peculiar thing about suffering from complex PTSD or struggling with self-worth. When people treat you badly and you genuinely don't know why, in a strange way, that unknown is often far worse than knowing the absolute worst possible reason. Your mind plays cruel tricks on you, filling the void with self-blame and negativity. But not me. Through the strength I cultivated, I chose to rise up. I found love, got engaged, and married my wonderful husband. I escaped that toxic place and built a life in a truly happy neighborhood. That, my dear friends, is my true revenge. Yet the question of why they did it lingered, an irritating, unanswerable itch in my mind. Recently, like so many people, I've been experimenting with artificial intelligence, specifically with a program called ChatGPT. I started asking it questions about profound mysteries in my life, things I simply couldn't grasp. One day I typed in, "Why did the neighborhood do this to me? What would motivate women to behave in such a cruel way?" And what it told me was truly illuminating. I even printed it out so I could share its wisdom directly with you. ChatGPT responded, "Yes, I can explain it. I'm sorry that happened to you. It's cruel and unfortunately, it's very common, especially for women who have experienced trauma." I guess in its vast knowledge base, it knew my history somehow. It continued, "When a group of mothers, or a group of women for that matter, gangs up on someone with rumors, cold shoulders, and smear campaigns, it's often not because of anything you did. It's because of who you are, and even more specifically, what you don't do that implicitly threatens their established social order, their status quo." It's important to note, I don't think I had told ChatGPT that many of these women were heavy drinkers, and I wasn't. Yet, that was the very first thought that immediately sprang to my mind when it mentioned status quo. Could it have been the alcohol, my not partaking? It then offered several possible reasons, which I found remarkably insightful. Number one, you weren't playing the game. It elaborated, a lot of women, particularly in the intense early years of parenting, feel scared and profoundly unsure of themselves. They're desperately trying to find a solid identity and connection. So they form groups, and these groups often operate on a set of unspoken, rigid rules. Don't be too real. Don't dare to step outside the accepted norm. Don't question what the group values. And most importantly, stay in your lane. If you, however, show up as calm, genuinely independent, refreshingly honest, or simply not overly eager to please, you instantly stand out. And in doing so, you become a mirror. You inadvertently make others acutely aware of the ways they might be faking it, or perhaps aren't truly okay with themselves. And instead of dealing with their own discomfort and insecurity, they project it all onto you. This explanation resonated. In a way, it somewhat reminded me of how people often tell you exactly what you want to hear when others have been unkind. That it's all their fault, never yours, because you're wonderful. While I don't fully subscribe to the "it's because you're great" idea, I do genuinely believe many of those women were incredibly unhappy within themselves. Reason number two, ChatGPT suggested, was that one person needed you to be the scapegoat. It went on, "In most of these complex group dynamics, it begins with one woman who feels deeply insecure or fundamentally threatened, often for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with you. But instead of sitting with her own discomfort, she cleverly deflects it, making it your fault. You become labeled as the difficult one, the negative one, the weird one. And I'll admit, compared to some, I am a bit weird, but I hope in a good, unique way, as you know." This narrative, however, makes her feel more powerful and in control. She then tests this narrative by gossiping, subtly spreading her poison. And if the others are too scared to disagree, or too insecure in themselves to stand up for what's right, they fall in line. It feels like loyalty to the group, but in reality, it's pure fear. You were ultimately excluded to keep the group bonded, unified around a shared, manufactured enemy. That possibility certainly makes you pause, doesn't it? Then came reason number three. You may have had boundaries, and that's simply not allowed. The AI explained, if you didn't overshare personal details, or if you didn't go along with something that felt fundamentally wrong to you, or if you gently pulled away from someone's invasive energy, that can absolutely infuriate people who rely on controlling others to feel okay and stable themselves. This too could hold true. In a group potentially affected by unacknowledged trauma or unresolved issues, a clear, healthy boundary is often tragically perceived as an insult. You may have been unjustly cast as judgmental simply because you didn't perform automatic approval or agreeability. In my case, all I really did was not drink, and I was actually very gracious about it. I never criticized anyone else's heavy drinking, even though I privately thought it was excessive. My typical response was simply, "Oh, no thank you," when offered a drink. I do recall one of the moms asking me why I didn't drink, and I gave her the same honest, respectful explanation I shared with you. But I have indeed experienced in other social contexts how sometimes, if people suspect they might have an issue with alcohol, they react defensively, thinking, "Oh, you think you're better than me, huh?" It's a sad and often unspoken dynamic. And finally, ChatGPT offered number 4, which truly hit home. Trauma invisibility made you an easy target. It profoundly articulated, if you grew up with trauma, you may have been conditioned to disconnect or go quiet when things go wrong. You might freeze, retreat, or go silent instead of lashing back out. And to people with their own deep, unresolved issues, this looks like weakness. Ah, I thought, this is it. And some people, it continued, especially those clinging desperately to social dominance or their own fragile sense of self-importance, will deliberately go after the person who they perceive won't fight back. It acknowledged, it's not fair, it's not okay. But it is, tragically, how these insidious dynamics often work. Wow, just wow. Hearing that analysis, especially after all these years, truly puts so much into perspective. It's the closest I've ever come to understanding why that decade-long nightmare unfolded. I sincerely hope that perhaps some of you watching who have experienced similar baffling group dynamics or relational aggression might find a piece of your own story in this explanation. Please, if you have insights or similar experiences, share them in the comments below. It's incredibly important to know that this isn't just an isolated incident. It happens. It is vicious, it is profoundly damaging, and it leaves deep scars. This wasn't the only time I've experienced women ganging up on me, but it was, without a doubt, the most devastating and consequential. It isolated me beyond measure. It wasn't until much later, after this entire brutal episode of bullying had concluded, and I had completely ceased all contact with any of them, truly living in my house, navigating my life entirely by myself, that things got even harder for me. This period spiraled into some of the absolute hardest years of my entire life. I even regrettably got involved with someone who turned out to be struggling with drug addiction. At that point, perhaps there would have been legitimate gossip to be had about me, and I'm sure there was. But a part of me profoundly wonders if I would have even been in such a vulnerable position in the first place, if I hadn't first been subjected to this relentlessly strong, utterly awful smear campaign that had eroded my social connections and self-trust. Most traditional advice about bullying, as you may know, suggests not confronting the bullies, to simply ignore them and walk away. But in my case, I chose to confront them, and despite the immediate discomfort, I am profoundly glad that I did. While I ultimately lost a decade of happiness in that particular neighborhood and, in a way, even lost my house due to the financial circumstances and my desperate need to escape, I wholeheartedly believe I saved my spirit by speaking up and standing up for myself, affirming my truth. When I directly challenged them, they never apologized. They never acknowledged the profound hurt or injustice they had inflicted. But what did happen, decisively and completely, was that the bullying stopped. It simply ended. So, with that deeply personal story and the surprising wisdom of artificial intelligence, I sincerely hope this video offers you comfort, validation, and perhaps a pathway to understanding your own experiences. Please do let me know in the comments if anything I've shared resonates with you or if you faced similar situations. Your stories are so important, and if you found this video helpful or enlightening, I've got another insightful discussion lined up for you right there that I truly believe you'll appreciate. It delves into the subtle, often unseen ways that friendships fall apart, because this kind of insidious relational aggression is often at the very heart of such dissolutions. Remember, it's never your fault that you found yourself in such a painful position. This experience of being targeted and isolated is a really common and unfortunately normal response to having grown up with unresolved trauma. But of course, we all strive to learn, to heal, and to grow, so we can better understand and navigate these challenging dynamics with even greater wisdom and grace in the future. Stay strong and protect your beautiful spirit.